Information, please. Wake up, America. Time to stump the experts. It's time for you, the much-quizzed public, to turn the tables and grill the authorities. Match your brains with those of our board of experts. How do you do it? Well, here's how. Send us questions with the correct answers on subjects of general interest. And make a special note of this. Beginning tonight, Information, please, is increasing the rewards. For each question accepted, we pay $5. For each question not correctly answered, we pay $10. That's a possible high of $15 in all, plus the pleasure of embarrassing Franklin P. Adams, John Kieran, or some other big brain. But I'll let Clifton Fadiman, literary editor of the New Yorker magazine, who acts as our master of ceremonies, tell you about the experts. Mr. Fadiman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We present tonight a quartet of bright-eyed savants. First, John Kieran, whose range of information reaches from the football field to the stars, with way stops among the birds, the bees, and the flowers. Secondly, Franklin P. Adams, columnist of the New York Post, and a man who can spot a question and a quotation coming at him a mile away. I want to stop the program, as a matter of fact, and present Mr. Adams with a surprise of his life. He doesn't know it, but this is his birthday tonight, and I'm going to ask the other experts to greet him in proper fashion. One,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Frank Adams. Happy birthday to you.
Now, Mr. Oscar Levant has no birthday song coming to him. He's a composer and pianist who is gradually picking up quite an education for himself on these programs. And our guest of honor this evening is John Gunther, internationally famous foreign correspondent, author of Inside Europe, and of a forthcoming book, Inside Asia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the rules are simple. If these experts know the answer, they will have to raise their hands, just as in school. You remember school. If the answer is incorrect, the cash register will ring up $5. And that $5 will be sent to the lucky questioner. And now, gentlemen, we will start off with a question for which you should know the answer. Mr. Adams, suppose I give you this question. What is different about our program tonight?
We have a sponsor.
Very good. Correct.
Canada Dry.
Canada Dry is correct. From now on, we are sponsored by Canada Dry. And now for the real stickers. That was too easy. The first question comes from Mr. H. Russell of Chicago. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, to give 5 typical remarks made by the guests or hosts after the guest's departure. You know, guests come and they go. Sometimes it's the second part that's the nicest thing about them. What do you say after they've left? Or what do they say after they've left? Mr. Gunther. Any idea?
That fellow certainly liked scotch.
Yes, that's a very good one. That's one. Thank you, Mr. Gunther. Mr. Levant.
I'll never have that Oscar Levant here again.
Very good, Mr. Levant. Mr. Kieran.
I thought they'd never go home.
Yes, I think that's the most popular of all. That's 3. 2 more. Mr.
When do we
Kieran.
have another party?
I beg pardon, Mr. Gunther?
When do we have another party?
That's a nice, sweet one. I'm very glad to get someone to give us a good-natured cliche. Mr. Kieran.
Where do you suppose she ever got that dress?
Very good. The one that we use most frequently at my house is, didn't we give them veal the last 3 times? Very good. Second question. From Jonathan Goldberg of New York City. Now, gentlemen, I ask you to look out for the concealed puns in this question. Now, you're all punsters of old standing, particularly Mr. Adams. Watch out. Identify from the following poems the famous persons indicated. Now, there are 3 poems. I'll read them one at a time. 1. Way up in the north, where the climate is shivery, he burst into fame by a special delivery. Who is it, gentlemen? Who is it? Way up in the north, where the climate is shivery, he burst into fame by a special delivery.
Is it a poet? The answer is the name of a poet?
No, just a famous person.
Does it have to be a writer?
No, not at all. Where'd you get this idea?
It'll be an aviator.
Mr. Kieran.
Dr. Defoe.
Dr. Defoe is perfectly correct. He burst into fame by a special delivery. Now, the next one, in the next one, the meter is simply terrible, but the sentiment is very clear. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, the nation's friend and pal. No one in history ever got so many miles to a gal. Mr. Levant.
Mrs. Roosevelt.
Very good. Thanks. Now, the third is the hardest of all. Listen closely. When young, he played a minor part, and thus he got his early start. Today, the air grows tense and heated when he says, "Gentlemen, be seated." Oh, this is a clever one. Makes me curl up with enthusiasm. Mr. Levant.
I want to hear it again.
Ah, you love it, eh? All right. Here it goes. Now, watch the concealed puns. When young, he played a minor part, and thus he got his early start. Today, the air grows tense and heated when he says, "Gentlemen, be seated."
Could it be John Lewis?
That's correct, Mr. Gunther. Thank you very much indeed. I think that's pretty good. The minor part, of course, is a pun, and when he says "gentlemen, be seated," refers, of course, to the sit-down strike. Very good. The third question from W. Houghton of Newborough, Ontario. This is a Shakespeare question. Mr. Adams, are you in on this? All right. Answer the following questions with appropriate quotations from Shakespeare. You have to get 3 out of 4. This isn't so easy. What would you say about Niagara Falls when you got back to the home folks? A quotation from Shakespeare.
What a fall was there, my country.
Very good, Mr. Adams. Thank you very much indeed. From Julius Caesar, of course. 2. What would you say to a father searching for his newborn baby in a hospital? What would you say to a father? Mr. Adams, got that one?
It's a wise son that knows his own father.
You got the generations mixed.
The wise father that knows his own
Yes,
child.
that's very good. But I think your intent was correct. I'm going to mark you 100% on that. 3. What does a head chef say to his assistants who are about to peel onions? What does a head chef say to his assistants who are about to peel onions?
If you have tears, prepare to shed them now.
Very good, Mr. Gunther. That's right. Also from Julius Caesar. And the last one is the hardest of all. Aren't these clever, Mr.
I
Cherry?
don't like that one. I like, "Oh, your offense is rank. It smells to heaven."
That's very good. 4. A corset maker is asked by the fat woman of the circus how long it would take him to make her corset. Now, no slips on this one. All right, Mr. Cherry.
From Midsummer Night's Dream. Puck, I'll put a girdle around the earth in 60 minutes.
40.
40.
Yep. Very good, Mr. Karen. 4 out of 4. That's very good. The boys are pretty good tonight. The next one, for Mrs. Dawn A. Follansby of Palo Alto, California. This is a musical question. The question is this. You're asked to play the folk tune, The Farmer in the Dell, as it might have been written by each of the following composers. There are 4 of them: Liszt, Chopin, Gershwin, and Ravel. And in order to determine whether the answers are correct, I'm going to ask this very intelligent studio audience to indicate by applause if they think that the answer is more or less correct. I don't know who's going to do this. Mr. Kieran plays the piano. Mr. Levant, would you like to try it? The Farmer in the Dell, as played by, in the first place, Liszt. It's a tough question. Now, I may as well warn the audience that the studio audience consists entirely of friends of Mr. Levant and a paid claque. Just to make everything perfectly honest. All right, Mr. Levant.
Do the farm in the Dell for me.
I should do it? The farmer in the dell, the farmer in the dell, hi-ho the cherry-o, the farmer in the dell.
That's pretty good the way it is.
You want to stop it? Now, we're going to have it as Liszt would do it?
Liszt.
All right, this is Liszt.
Liszt is,
Listen to Liszt.
which is the second one?
Chopin.
I'd rather do Chopin.
You want to come back to
First.
Liszt?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take him off the list and put Chopin in. Okay.
No, I'll do Liszt later.
All right, Liszt later, Chopin first. You're supposed to play the farmer in the dell. Was that it, the farmer in the dell? All right. Very good, Mr. Levant. Sounds all right to me. Now, the next one would be George Gershwin.
No,
George Gershwin. Farmer in the Dell, as played by George Gershwin. third one, The Farmer in the Dell, as conceived by Ravel. Gee, a poem. Ravel. They like this. Now, do you want to come back to Liszt?
Yeah.
All right, let's have Liszt. Farmer in the Dell. It brings back the Farmer in the Dell to me. I'll tell you, Mr. Levant, they seem to like this so much, there's nothing to stop you from giving us the Farmer in the Dell as Levant would do it. Have you a style, Mr. Levant?
The farmer in the dell, oh, the farmer in the dell.
Thank you very much. 5 very good impromptu compositions, possibly having something to do with the Farmer in the Dell, possibly not. I hope Mr. Dawn A. Follinsby is as satisfied as the studio audience seems to be. The next one from Mary Hill of Miami, Florida. What news event does each of the following figures bring to mind? I have to get 4 out of 5. 1, 19 to 0. 19 to 0. Mr. Kieran.
Well, 3 or 4 football scores.
Which one, particularly?
Well,
most
it was
important.
Minnesota, Notre Dame.
That's right. Who won?
Why, Notre Dame.
Well, I have to know. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the first question we've ever had on this program dealing with a college education. Now, the next one, 100 million yen. 100 million yen can't be wrong. 100 million yen. 100 million. Mr. Gunther.
Well, it's probably a mild estimate as to the amount of the Japanese deficit in the next budget.
Well, you have me there. You probably know more about the budget than I do, but I think it represents a specific amount that's been in the papers recently. Mr. Levant, how did
I'm
you happen to read
guessing.
the papers? All right, go ahead and guess.
Well, they've reduced the length of the matches in Japan, I hear. Maybe they'll save that on that. I don't know.
It's an idea. It's an idea, but I don't think that's what it refers to.
I was guessing.
Yeah, I got that. As a guesser, you're a very good composer, Mr. Levant. No, it's the capitalization of the newly formed Central Development Company, as announced in Tokyo, which is going to reconstruct the devastated area in China. Would that be right now, Mr. Gunther?
I'm sure it would be.
All right. That's one wrong. Now we have to get the next 3 right. What news event does the following figure bring to mind? 10,000 soldiers. 10,000 soldiers. Mr. Gunther.
Oh, the number of Italian troops withdrawn from Spain.
Yes, volunteers, not troops. Volunteers.
Volunteers in
Yes,
quotes.
of course. Yes, voluntary withdrawals. 10,000 voluntary withdrawals from the Spanish War. That's quite correct. 4, $75,000. $75,000. I wish your eyes would stop glistening, gentlemen. Just just pay attention to the question. That's all. That's right, Mr. Adams?
The amount of money guaranteed to Donald Budge for going professional.
That's right, Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, I should tell you, is, among other things, a professional tennis expert. I've seen him play in shorts. Remember that time I saw you play in shorts, Mr. Adams?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And the next one, we have to get this one right. 81. What does 81 bring to mind? 81. Don't tell me it's the square of 9. 81.
That's not dollars, just 81.
Just 81. Miss Mary Hill of Miami, Florida, is waiting for her $10 this time. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, gentlemen, that's going to cost us $10. 81 represents the increase in the number of Republicans elected to the House of Representatives. You remember, over the last Congress. The new total is 170, compared with 89. Now we're back on a nice 2-party system again, quite out of step with the rest of the world. The next question from Mr. J. Crawford of Houston, Texas. Well, we've done this once before, and it was terrible. Let's see if we can keep our record up. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, to sing in 4-part harmony the first lines of the chorus, or the best-known lines, from each of the following well-known songs. Now, Mr.